Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's First Person segment here on PressProsMagazine.com, brought to you by the Buckeye Insurance Group in Piqua and their featured agent, the Coverman Dickerson Agency in Troy, Piqua, and Covington. It is the eve of the 2010 football season, and no better way to start the First Person segment on Press Pros than with the gentleman to my right, one of the highly successful football coaches not only in West Central Ohio in Region 24 football, but across the state of Ohio in Division 5 and Division 6. He's Tim Goodwin, the coach of the Marion Local Flyers, and in a very short amount of time, you know the story if you follow football. 4 state titles, 5 trips to the state finals, and one of the most respected young men in your profession. Congratulations on the success, and thanks for the time tonight.
Oh wow, that's quite an introduction there, Sonny. I hope I can add something to this.
Well, I think you've done enough already, but I want to talk about that. I can't help but think about you and what you've accomplished at Marion without wondering if there's days when you wake up and pinch yourself to say, hey, in the short amount of time that I've been here, could this really have happened to me?
Yeah, every once in a while you think about that, and every year as a coaching staff, and I have great coaches with me. You said all those things, but none of it would have been possible, obviously, without the great coaches I coach with and the fine young men. But it seems like every year towards the end of the year, it's like, well, guys, we're in double digits. That's another good year for us, and it's just been quite a run.
It goes without saying, too, that I know you appreciate this fact. There are a lot of great football coaches in the Miami Valley who've never had a sniff of a state title, and that names like Charlie Burbacher come to mind at Tip City and Steve Nolan at Troy. You really have to appreciate guys like that for what they've contributed, because they have tremendous records of their own and yet have never been to the position where you've been.
Yeah, you're right. And I grew up around football. My dad was a high school coach for 34 years, a head coach. He made the playoffs twice, and and I don't know, I was blessed. I came in the right situation where we had great athletes, everything was in place. We had a community that was really, really hungry to succeed. And we just hit the ground running, had a lot of success early, and that just builds your program.
I know you've heard this. I hear it occasionally about Marion Local and the success that you've had from those critics who will look at you and say, well, it's Division 5 and it's Division 6. It's small school. Kudos for what they've accomplished, but you couldn't do it in Division 1 and Division 2 because of the consistency of competition from one year to the next. You've heard that yourself. Your comments to those people who have that opinion?
I don't know what to say. I mean, everyone has their opinion. You're not going to change their opinion. I've had opportunities to go elsewhere, and I've discussed that with my family, with a lot of my coaching peers. I've talked to coaches that have coached in Division 1, and they know, and they've coached in the MAC, and they say, it's no different in Division 1 than it is in the MAC. You're going against great coaches. It's very similar, and I've heard that, and like I said, I'm just fortunate to be in a situation where if we have a good team, and a team that you can get ready for the end of the year, we got a great chance to have postseason success.
Does it stand to reason that if you had 1,000 boys at Marion Local, it would all be relative compared to what those people talk about in Division 1? If you had that proportion of kids to pick from, you'd have the same success?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Every coach, I think every coach has an ego. I think if I went somewhere else, I think that, I could have success there. I mean, you have to have that ego that, what you're doing is better than what somebody else is doing, and you got to convince your kids of that.
Our first person segment this week featuring Tim Goodwin, the head coach of the Marion Local Flyers. We'll be back with more, talking about the 2010 Flyers right after this message from the Coverman Dickerson Agency in Troy, Piqua, and Covington.
The Coverman Dickerson Agency, with offices in Troy, Piqua, and Covington, is pleased to be the sponsoring Buckeye Insurance Group agent for this first-person interview. For farm, auto, and homeowner insurance, Coverman Dickerson is one of the area's fastest-growing Buckeye providers, with a history of service and competitive rates. And we're also an outstanding source of coverage for families with young drivers. For farm, auto, and home policies, call the Coverman Dickerson Agency, proud to represent Buckeye Insurance Group.
Welcome back to this week's first person interview with Tim Goodwin of the Marion Local Flyers. the $64 question on everyone's mind, particularly in the MAC Conference and Region 24 football, and I dare say in Division 6 across Ohio, is the Marion Local Flyers in 2010. I know you have your own expectations, the community has their expectations, but tell us a little bit about your football team.
Well, we're a team that, we struggled last year, but we put it together at the end and, had a nice run where we made the semifinals, and we got a bunch of those kids back this year. It seems like every year it's a little bit different. We ended up the season last year in the semifinals playing 6 seniors. So we got the bulk of our team back, and when you have that, you just tend to kind of pick up where you left off the next year. So it seems like we're hitting the ground running a little faster than we have been, the last 2 years where we've had to replace a lot of kids. It still comes down to matchups, and every team's a little different. You got to find your identity, and we're still working on that.
Every football coach loves his seniors, and you've got some good ones. Those kids that have had the experience of playing in the Midwest Athletic Conference. We featured one of them last week on the initial week of Press Pros, Niles Keller, in the interview he did with Josh Beringer about Division 6 football. Very impressive young man, 1,500 yards last year, workhorse, not very big, but a guy who wants to compete.
Yeah, he's, when you run the I formation and you got your tailback back, that's like a spread team having their quarterback back. It's not going to be a secret. We're going to give Niles the ball, and he's going to establish the running game, hopefully, along with our offensive front. And, we did lose our quarterback and receivers from last year, and we're working hard on getting our passing game going. But, yeah, we got 16 seniors, which is a nice, solid group for us. And, we're excited.
I know, and we've talked about this before, the impact of playing the competition that you play. All kudos in the world to St. Henry and Anna and Versailles as they come back. They've been very impressive last year. 5-5 last year, and yet you make the run that you did in the postseason. You get to that semifinal game. It says all you need to know about this conference and what you face on Friday nights.
Yeah, and that's what we preach from day one. Every team has different goals. You set a goal you think is realistic for your team. Well, in our situation, for us, it's realistic for us to be peaking at the end of the year and have as good a chance as anyone in the state of Ohio to win a title. Where other schools in their situation, their goal is probably to win the league or win their region. We're just in a different spot. And like you said, the other teams in our league prepare us, for that advantage that we have.
Before we leave, on a somber note, take a minute and talk about what it will be like to play in the MAC this year without John Reed. Because I know everybody in this league had a tremendous amount of respect for him, his program at Coldwater, and what he contributed to high school football.
You're right. It's just going to be different. And I don't know. It's one of those things where I think he and Coldwater raised the level of everyone's play.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's expectations. He's just going to be missed. I don't know exactly how else to say it, but a lot of people looked up to the man. He was a great coach and a great man, and they're going to have, I'm sure, some tough times over there in different spots. So we hope it goes well for him.
Tim, it's always a lot of fun to talk with you, and I say this to anybody who asks. You are one of my favorite coaches for what you've done, what you represent here. And again, for sharing your time. Anytime we call you and ask you for interview opportunities, you're always very gracious to accommodate. Best of luck this year, as we say, and stay healthy. Enjoy it and have fun with your kids.
Thanks a lot, and we appreciate all your coverage.
All right. Tim Goodwin, the head football coach of the Marion Local Flyers. This week's Press Pros First Person Interview, again, a production of PressProsMagazine.com, brought to you by the Buckeye Insurance Group in Troy and Piqua, with the Coverman-Dickerson Agency in Troy, Piqua, and Covington. Join us again next week for another segment of First Person. For Coach Goodwin and our sponsors, this is Sonny Folk saying thanks for joining us on PressProsMagazine.com.
If you are looking for quality insurance protection from a reliable company, sold by professionals, in communities like yours, that's what you'll get from Buckeye Insurance Group.
Buckeye Insurance Group, insuring the heartland.
To find your local Buckeye agent, visit buckeye-ins.com. Buckeye Insurance Group, insuring the heartland.
Insuring the heart.